Hi there guys, got a final video here today on the Theoban Rapid, and what I want to do in this video is just go over a few of the modifications I've made to the rifle, as well as going over what it's been like to own for the last 4 months. So to start off with, this rifle here was purchased using my own money from the brilliant Crawley surplus store. As you should know by now, I buy all my rifles from them, as they're pretty much the best RFD in my neck of the woods, and they deserve support for the service that they give. With that said, I did get a little discount on this rifle here by using my own discount code, which is sub-12 airgunners. This gave me 7% off the price of the rifle, and if you're in the market for a new rifle, I'll leave the link to the Crawley surplus store below, along with a discount code for you all to use. Right then, with the preamble out the way, I want to say this. If you're in the market for a high-end PCP air rifle that is accurate, slick to shoot and built like a tank, I would highly recommend taking a look at the Theoban Rapid. Now, I did do a full out-the-box review or overview of the rifle, which is available just up the top there, but the quick version is that the rifle would pretty much print 5p groups at 50 yards, and the rifle is certainly accurate to be used for something like bench rest. The form laminate stock is absolutely wonderful to shoulder and super comfortable both offhand or on the bench. The rifle uses the tried and tested raw regulator, which is both super consistent and very reliable. The trigger on the rifle is absolutely fantastic, probably one of the best air rifle triggers on the market today. This one is currently set at around 2 ounces with a nice short first stage and a super clean second stage break. The rifle action is set up really quite nicely. The cocking effort is nice and light. There is no excessive action noise or anything like that, and from a full fill you get around 300 to 350 shots. Moving on from the mags themselves have worked very well. I've not had any major jams or anything like that. They are plastic, which puts some people off, but I've not found that to be a major problem. I will say the rifle is slightly more accurate when loading the pellets into the barrel by hand, but that's fairly common, and luckily the action is nice and wide, so it's really easy just to thumb the pellets in by hand. Right then, next thing I want to do is just go over a few of the modifications that I've made to the rifle, starting off with the big one, which is the new shortened barrel and fatter shroud. Now this was done just to change the overall proportions of the rifle and make it a little more unique. Now I didn't want to shorten the original barrel as it was too good to risk ruining it, so what I went ahead and done is just machined up a HW barrel blank about 100mm shorter than the original one. To hide the metal finish of the barrel, what I went ahead and done is just made up a dummy carbon fibre shroud. So this is a piece of 25mm carbon fibre tube supported at either end by a pair of offset brackets. What this did was move the shroud up and away from the bottle and allow me to fit a fatter shroud to the rifle. When it's fitted, it is super close to both the bottle and the scope itself, but there is a really small amount of clearance there, so nothing's touching when it's all fitted. Now the offset shroud does make it look like the moderator is dropping down slightly, and that was done on purpose. What I wanted to do is sort of reference the older LRT rifles, and I quite like the way it turned out. Right then, moving on to the new pellet probe sleeve. Now I don't think I made a video on this, but this was just a nice quick project to remove some of the side-to-side play in the pellet probe assembly, as well as shortening the outer sheath. And this was just done so that the inner pellet probe, the pin part, was the part that pushed the pellet into the barrel. This was done just to make loading the pellets a little better, as the original setup sometimes damaged the skirt of the pellets as they was being pushed into the barrel. But that was a nice quick job, and it seals on both the new barrel as well as the old original one. Right then, another area of modification was the trigger. So the trigger itself was given a good going over. What I ended up doing was polishing up all the sears and making a few internal bushes to remove the side-to-side play between the trigger sears. I did a full video of that on the channel, so I'll leave a link in the corner up there in case you're interested in that. But all that modification did was just make a great trigger even better. One of the more interesting jobs that I did on the rifle was making a new titanium regulator piston. Now this was more of an experimental project that I have wanted to do for a little while now, but it involved machining up a new regulator piston in titanium to replace the original brass one. Now this was done to see if the reduced weight of a titanium piston would speed up the reaction time of the regulator and make any noticeable difference to its operation. Now in reality, I don't think that piston weight has too much of an effect on regulator operation, but it was an interesting experiment and it certainly didn't have any negative effects. Whilst I was there, I did also polish the sealing surfaces to get rid of any reg creep, so in all, it was a worthwhile little experiment. The last job was to fully strip and then rebuild the rifle using all new O-rings and some fresh grease. Along with this, I did also give a few of the components a quick polish up, like the hammer spring, and then along with that I did also make some new hammer spring guides which perfectly matched the spring. But with that all said, that's pretty much most of the modifications I've made to the rifle. The next thing we'll do is take it down range and I'll show you how well it shoots. Right then, and here we are all set up in Pete's airgun farm at the 50-yard range. Unfortunately, I forgot my usual targets today, so I'm just making do with some A3 paper and a few pen marks. But here's just a 5-shot group done at 50 yards with a rapid and the new barrel. Along with that, in the corner you can see I'm shooting through a chronograph, so you can see the feet per second readout as we take our shots. Now unfortunately only one group was done on camera today because I was having a bit of trouble with the trigger cam. I'll be honest with you, I'm probably going to bin the trigger cam and get either a side shot or one of the new eBay scope cams, as I'm a bit fed up with this one, but we'll have to see what happens. Right then, video problems aside, the rifle was shooting really quite well. So here I did 3 rows of groups with 3 different sets of JSB shorts. So die 19, die 35 and die 43. The rifle seemed to like die 19 the best, but most of these groups here are well under a 5p piece. For those outside the UK, a 5p piece is 18mm in diameter. If we drop that onto the targets here, you can see that most of the groups sit quite comfortably under a 5p piece. So this is the one that we've done on camera, and apart from 1 or 2 flyers, you can see there that the groups pretty much all land under a 5p piece. If we take our calipers, we can just get a quick edge-to-edge reading on the group we've done on camera. So what's that? Probably 13mm group edge-to-edge. So around 8.5mm centre to centre, which I don't think is too bad. Right then, with that all said and done, I think the Theoban Rapid is an absolutely blinding little rifle. It successfully builds on the Theoban legacy, and it has modernised the rifles nicely. I can't find fault with the rifle, and it's easily become one of my top 3 airguns of all time. Off of the strength of this rifle here, I have decided that in the very near future, I'll be getting one of the raw TM1000s assembled by Theoban. I just need to decide on a stock option, then I'll be getting that ordered. But with that all said, that's pretty much going to do it for this particular video. Don't forget, if you're in the market for a new air rifle, check out Crawley Surplus Store and use my code SUB12AirGunners for 7% off.